Hello, everyone. Welcome to our meetup today that is led by an employer. We have Addie Black, who is an alum. She graduated from UNC Charlotte not that long ago, and currently she works for a Bridge to Achievement. And if you were able to come to our spring career and internship fair, she was there with her whole team that were all alums. And so we are so grateful that she was able to come today and meet with you. And she will be presenting on resumes for the healthcare industry. And so Abby, take it away. Addie, I'm sorry.
Totally fine. Well, hi, everyone. I am so excited to be here and talk with you guys about resumes, recruiting, all that good stuff. My main goal today is I really want to help alleviate a lot of stress that comes with writing resumes, applying to jobs, because I know when I was applying to jobs and tweaking my resume and things like that, got a lot of feedback from people saying, you need this, you don't need this is going to make or break your resume. And it can be very overwhelming. So my main goal today is I want to help you guys as much as possible. I've got a presentation that I will share really quickly. Get that going here. And so I'm going to give a little background into me, my position, but then also my company, kind of what we do. And then I've got some great information on what to include in your resumes. And then I've also got some examples of resumes as well. So my own resume, we're going to take a look at that. We're going to take a look at some of my friends' resumes who are actually in the healthcare field, some nurses. Some of my friends are applying to be medical sales reps. And then I also have my mom's resume to share with you guys because she is actually a nurse and she's been in the field for 32 years. So I wanted to show you some examples as well, answer any questions that you guys might have. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So first up, I want to share just a little bit about me and my position, how I got to be where I am. So I graduated from UNC Charlotte with a bachelor's in psychology. It's actually hanging on the wall behind me right now. I have been in the field of ABA for about 4 years, going on 5. I am a registered behavioral technician. This means that I can do, and I do sometimes do direct therapy with the kiddos one-on-one. However, I have transitioned into my current role doing recruiting and staff development. I'm the recruiting and staff development coordinator. So I handle all of our recruiting. I go through all of our applications. I do all of the interviews. I do all of our onboarding process as well. And then alongside our Winston-Salem trainer, I handle all of our new hire training and new hire orientation as well. So I do a little bit of everything. I have been in my current position for 2 years. I've been with my company for over 3. So I do a little bit of everything, but I love it. I wear many hats. I love my company. I love what we stand for. And speaking of, I'm going to get into a little bit more in depth too on what ABA is and really what we do with our kids. So our CEO and founder, Dana Alley, she is a mother with 2 children on the spectrum. So they actually are grown independent adults now, but her son had ABA on in his life from a very early age. Dana is also a BCBA, which is a board certified behavior analyst. So those are the people who write all of the treatment plans. It's kind of like getting your master's in ABA. You take all the coursework, you do all your hours, you sit for the BCBA exam. UNC Charlotte actually has this program in their master's program as well. So if you are interested, they offer that as well. But she started and founded a Bridge to Achievement based on her experiences. So she built a diverse network of supports that she now shares with the community and other families in the community. So her philosophy is really learner-centered and family-centered. We want to put them first. We operate on what we call the least restrictive environment. So that means we don't do any restraints, we don't do any holds, we don't do forced compliance. So our kiddos always have the option to say no. So our main goal is to teach that functionality, teach that independence. We want our kids to be able to make choices for themselves and to also advocate for themselves. So really the first thing that we tackle when we have kiddos come into our clinic is developing some method of functional communication. So if they are nonverbal, then we will work with a different method. So maybe they've got an AAC device, we can help them figure out how to navigate that better. There's also something called a PEX system, which is a picture exchange communication system. We take pictures and laminate them of things that they use on a daily basis. So water bottle, lunchbox, you know, their iPad, and we keep them in a little binder for them. And they can, you know, rip the picture out of what they want, hand it to us, and we exchange for the item that they want. So that's the first thing that we tackle is a method of communication, because we want to be able to know what they want, what they like, what they don't like, and then help develop that further. So we also have a early learner program, which really helps prep our kids to get ready to go to school, you know, follow schedules, social skills, different things like that. We can work on ADLs, so helping them learn how to get dressed in the morning, maybe do some chores around the house. We always say that if you've met one kiddo with autism or one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. So they are so different, they are so beautiful and so unique. So one of your sessions with your kiddos is going to look completely different than another session with your kiddos, because we're going to be working on, we can work on a variety of different things. So it's similar to OT and speech. We collab a lot with different OT and speech companies as well. Sometimes they'll come into our center and, you know, block off a room for 30 minutes with one of our kiddos, and then we'll pick them back up and continue their day with us. So very similar, they kind of go hand in hand, but applied behavioral analysis, or ABA, really is the study of behavior, how behavior works, how it's affected by the environment, and how learning takes place in different learning styles. So that's a little bit about my background and our company background. But let's get into resumes, you know, why we are all here today. So I am the recruiting coordinator. I go through all of our applications, do all of the interviewing as well. So I want to give you as much insight as possible. And again, I want to simplify this as much as I can for you, because I know it's a very daunting task to, you know, get your resumes together, submit them. What should I put? What shouldn't I put? So again, I want to help alleviate as much of that stress as I can. So first up, personal info and your heading. So how are they going to get in contact with you? Your name, address, phone, email, LinkedIn. Some people argue that you don't need to, you know, add your address in there. Maybe it's a remote position. You know, you probably don't need to. However, for us, I do need your address, because I need to see how far you're located from our clinics. Also, where you are in location to maybe a learner's home that you might do an in-home session with. So add the address, you know, if you think it would be applicable to that position, whatever you are applying to. I put optional on here for summary and objective. So some people say you got to have that in there. Some people say that you shouldn't have it in there. It really doesn't matter. It's a personal preference for you. If you do want to include one, keep it between 1 to 3 sentences long. You know, we're not writing an essay. Highlight your main points if you want to have it on there. When I get applications in and I see a little summary, I like to read them. You know, I want to learn about you and who you are. So if you want to have one, absolutely. If you don't, that's fine too. So, but just remember, if you do want to have one, keep it shorter, because we don't have time to sit here and read an entire essay. I need the main points about you and what is applicable to this position that I'm hiring for. So that's personal info, heading, education. So your degree or anticipated degree, date of graduation, the institution, and then any relevant courses. So by relevant courses, I mean, specifically for ABA, there are courses that are specifically related to ABA. So like I said, there's that master's program. If you've taken, any courses related to applied behavioral analysis, there's like behavior analytics, there's even behavioral psychology. If you've taken any courses that are related to this position, definitely add it on there. This also helps too if maybe you don't have a lot of professional experience, so you don't really have much in that section. Definitely zhuzh up your education section and add anything that is relevant to the position you are applying to. And then optional is your GPA. And what I mean by this is if you have a stellar GPA, absolutely shoot that in there because that's amazing. You worked so hard for that, and that does stand out on applications. If I see somebody has a 4.0, I'm like, wow, like they know their stuff. But for people who may not have a great GPA, and I'm going to be fully transparent, I didn't have a great GPA. I did not put my GPA on my applications, and I'm still doing fine, So if you don't have a great GPA, that's okay to not list it on there. People told me too, like you have to list your GPA on there. This is going to, they're going to just completely pass over your application. That is not true. When I get applications in and they have, their degree, where they got it from, that's cool. That's totally fine. It's not going to break you if you don't include your GPA. But if you do have a great one, absolutely stick that on there because that took a lot of work and that shows a lot of dedication, that you're driven, you're motivated. So absolutely stick it on there. But again, don't sweat it if you don't have a great GPA. You're going to be fine. So that's education, professional experience. So this is kind of the big one, the main one. Any and all experience related to the job. So this could be work, you've done in the past. This could be internships. This could be classes. This could be volunteering. Any and all experience related to the job. You want to include the dates you worked there or did this position or volunteered. You want to include your position or your title that you did in this position, the organization name, and then duties and responsibilities. So duties and responsibilities. There are kind of two ways that you can do this. You can write it in a paragraph form, or you can list it out in bullet points. Many people were telling me, you have to do it in a paragraph form, you have to do it in a bulleted list. It really doesn't matter. It's your personal preference. But again, if you're going to do a little paragraph, do not write an essay because they don't have time to sit there and, read your entire paper. This is a resume that should highlight your main focal points and the main focal points that are applicable to this position. So you can write a paragraph, but keep it to, 1 to 3 sentences long, or you can do a bulleted list. Again, your personal preference. So these are the first 3 kind of things. These next sections. So certifications and licenses, skills and activities. These sections are really interchangeable. You can combine them, you can keep them separate. This is all depending on how much information you have for each, or the lack of information you have for another section. So again, if you don't have a lot of professional experience, fluff these up, and you could separate them all and add some depth to your resume. So any certifications or licenses that you have. So I've got my RBT certification. I've got CPR, first aid, CPAI. I have all of those listed on my resume that I'll show you in just a second. And then any licenses, so CNA, RN, etc. Any certifications or licenses that you have under your belt, stick it on there. And then skills and activities. So any proficient skills, so Microsoft Word, Excel, etc. Anything that you're great at, stick it in there. Languages, this is a big one too. So if you're fluent in another language, I will tell you, this does make your application stand out. I love when I get bilingual, trilingual applications in. So if you are bilingual in another language, put that close to the top. Because that's very important and we love to see that. So if you're bilingual, stick it in there. And again, you can combine any of these things. So you could do certifications and skills, certifications and activities, or activities and licenses. So it really, again, depends on you and your specific experience and skills that you have and whatever is most comfortable for you. So They're interchangeable. You can kind of design it however you want and however looks best on your resume. So, some tips and tricks for resumes before we get into some examples that I have for you guys. Again, my main thing I want you guys to take away from this is don't get bogged down with the technicalities. You know, oh, I didn't use Times New Roman font, don't worry about that. Pick a professional font that you like. Don't do like a cutesy little, font. Keep it professional, but just because you didn't use Times New Roman, they're not going to throw out your application. So focus on the main sections and what is included in those. Don't stress yourself out over the technicalities, because I know I definitely did that when I was applying for jobs. So don't get bogged down with the technicalities. Tailor your resume to highlight specific experience that relates to the job you are looking to apply to. So when I was applying to Bridge to Achievement for this position, I put my previous RBT position, I put my internship that I actually did when I was a student at UNC Charlotte. I did an internship at it was called Intervision, mental health services, different things like that. I stuck that on there. I was a camp counselor working with kids, so I stuck that on there as well. I also worked at Carvel Ice Cream in high school. Did I stick that on there? No, I didn't, because that's not related to, what I was doing. However, when I've applied to my first RBT position, I did leave it on there because that was kind of the only professional experience that I had. So if you don't have a lot of professional experience, keep all that stuff on there. But if you've got, some things under your belt, you can kind of pick and choose between what is applicable to the position that you are applying to. So tailor your resume. Cover letters. I love cover letters because they are not required. So when I see a cover letter, I love that because it shows, that you are really interested in this position. You took the time to sit down and write a cover letter about why you feel like you're a great fit for this job. So cover letters are great. Some places do require them, some places don't. If they don't require them, even if there's not even a section to put a cover letter, try to slip one in there, because that really shows you're interested and the dedication and the work that you put towards this application. There are a bunch of different online websites, different resources that you can model a cover letter for. You can also kind of develop the bones or the structure for a cover letter, and then switch out the, I'm applying to the registered behavioral technician position. And if you're applying to a bunch of different places, you can just switch out those keywords and different things like that. So once you kind of develop one, you're kind of good to go, and you can just kind of switch out the verbiage and things like that. Next up, make sure to check for any typos. So this may seem kind of like a silly one, but I see more typos than you would expect. So, and it really, I hate to see typos, because then it's like, you don't really care about applying to this position, so why should I want to give my time to you if you can't even, look for these small little typos, in your resumes and things like that. And because like Word document literally, shows you when there's a typo. So if you can't go back and fix it, you just make sure there's no typos, because that does not show professionalism. So no typos. Keep the format the same throughout your resume. So whatever font you do pick, make sure it's a professional font. I've used sans serif, I've used Times New Roman. Don't do any, again, like a little cutesy font, something like that. Make sure it's professional, but keep it the same throughout. Put the most relevant information first. So this is kind of what I was saying before. When I applied to this position, I put my RBT certification up there, front and center, my CPR certification, and then my professional experience was my previous RBT position. So all the relevant information to that job that you are interested in applying to, put that up towards the top to really kind of grab their attention. keep your resume between 1 to 2 pages. So this was another big one that I realized when I graduated college. People were like, you have to push it all on 1 page. And, you should aim to have it at 1 page, but like, if you have an extensive, you have extensive experience, it's okay to make it 2 pages. Don't beat yourself up about it. But if it is 2 pages, I would recommend adding a footer at the bottom with your name, credentials, and page numbers. And I'll show you an example of that as well. Because at like career fairs, I've been handed resumes that are 2 pages long, which is fine, but they're not stapled. And it can get lost in my, folder of resumes. So, I recommend stapling them, but if you don't have a stapler, just make sure, you've got a footer down at the bottom. So I know if it does get mixed up or something like that. So I know whose resume is whose. So keep it between 1 to 2 pages, fluff up your resumes, add as much information as possible that you can, but don't lie on them. Because I will get people in, who say that they've had years of ABA experience or years of, childcare experience. But then when I ask them to kind of, elaborate on that, they give really vague answers or kind of dance around the subject and can't answer any direct questions. And then I'm like, okay, well, they definitely lied on their resume. So it's okay to absolutely fluff it up, give as much information as possible, maybe extend a few things, but don't straight up lie on it, because if you get asked in an interview and you can't provide information for that, then you don't seem like a very credible person that they would want to bring on for their organization. So fluff them up, that's fine, but don't straight up lie on them, because someone's going to ask you about it and then you're not going to be able to provide an answer. And then they're going to be like, okay, well, they're lying on their resume. Would I really want to bring this person in to my company? So keep all of those things in mind. Now I've got some examples for you guys. First up is my resume. So I haven't changed my resume for 3 years since I've been at a Bridge to Achievement. So this was fun editing it yesterday, getting prepared for today. But this is a resume that I would submit if I was looking for another position, which I'm not. But I put my name up here at the top. I've got my phone number, my address, email, my LinkedIn, and then I've got my education. So I am currently working towards my master's in HR management. So I put that towards the top, and then I put my Bachelor of Science in Psychology. But do you see that I didn't put my GPA? And then I've got my certifications. I've got my RBT. I need to look up my exact RBT number. I couldn't find that yesterday, but I would put that there as well. CPR and first aid certified, crisis prevention and intervention. And then I've got my first relevant experience, which is my RBT experience. And then I've got my internship at Intervision that I did at UNC Charlotte. I've got that on there. My nanny at this one company, did that for a really long time. Camp counselor. We had neurotypical and neurodivergent children as well. So it's definitely applicable to this position that I'm applying to. So I've got different bullet points, 2, 3, 4. Keep it about that length. And then again, if you're writing a paragraph, keep it between 1, 2, 3 sentences. And then I've got community outreach too. So all of my volunteering, I did Special Olympics, Intervision, the Ronald McDonald House, Crisis Pregnancy Resource Center, all that stuff. So this is my resume, and I would feel confident in sending this in, because I also did just get off of a conference about an hour ago with this guy named Stephen Smith. He's like the chief executive officer of this hiring and recruiting company. And he was just talking about different ways to recruit and things like that. And he was like, simplicity in resumes, that's what we're looking for. I feel like it was a very common theme too when I was working on my resume when I graduated college, that they were like, put all that information in there, put every single thing. Remember that volunteer work you did when you were in 8th grade? Stick that on there. Different things like that. And it was very stressful to me. So simplify it as much as possible. Put as much information related to that position on there. But don't stress yourself out about including every single little detail, because if it's not related to that position, they're not really going to care about it. So this is my resume. These are two of my friends' resumes. She's currently a nurse. She's a travel nurse, but she is trying to apply for an orthopedic sales representative candidate position too. So she's got two different resumes, and I'm going to show you kind of the difference between them. So for this one, and I blocked out some of her personal information, but she's got her bachelor's in nursing listed over here. She doesn't have her resume, or not her resume, her GPA listed. She's got some key skills. So leader, educator, teacher, communication, teamwork, all that good stuff. And then all of her certifications. So you can format your resume like this too, if you like it better with kind of 2 columns, that's totally fine. Again, it's whatever your preference is. Put your contact information up here at the top right. And then she's got her professional experience. And when I downloaded this, I think it blocked out the position title, but it said registered nurse. So registered nurse from here to here. She put some duties on there. Travel critical care registered nurse. Yep. So she put all of that stuff, registered nurse. And then she put waitress down here, which the formatting, you can't see it, but one could argue, that you don't need to put that on there. However, a waitress is kind of, like sales, it's customer relations, talking to people. So that's why she stuck it on there, and that's totally fine. Again, that's her personal preference. That is her resume, but then over here, we've got her nursing resume as well. So her name, her contact information is listed here, and she's got first up education, licenses, and certifications. So she combined all 3 of those. She's got her bachelor's, and she did put her GPA on this one because it was magna cum laude, which is fantastic. For, nursing positions and stuff like that, they definitely want to see that. So she put that up there. She's got her BLS, ACLS, all of these different certifications that she's got. And then she's got her work experience. So registered nurse, all of the specific duties that she did listed below. Another registered nurse position, registered nurse, registered nurse, registered nurse, and then a patient care technician when she was in college. So again, all of her applicable experience to, she's applying to be a nurse. She put all of that experience on there, all of her certifications, and then also her education as well. So these are just some examples for you. And then I've got one more example. This is my mom's, Tracy Black. She is a registered nurse. She has been a nurse for 32 years. So she's got her name on here. She has got her information. She also has a summary or an objective, which I think is totally fine. And she starts out with saying, I'm an extremely versatile RN with over 30 years of experience. If I were to get that application, I'd be like, check, that's awesome that she has that listed in her summary. So if you've got something like that, that you really want to start out with, put it in a summary or an objective. And I think that's completely fine. But she kept it short and very to the point. And then she's got her certifications and education. So she's got her RN license, current in South Carolina, current. And then for her education, for nursing, they do want to see where you got your nursing degree from. So she put it on here too. She doesn't really need it because she got it back in 1989, but she put it on there. She got her BSN from Auburn University and stuck it on there too, which I think it goes perfectly with this little certifications and education section. And then down to her experience. So she's got her current position. She's got she used to work at Arboretum Pediatrics. They're awesome over there. They were my pediatrician till I turned 21. They literally had to kick me out of there because they were just so awesome. And my mom worked there too. So all of her stuff, she's got it listed here, Atrium. This one down here in Pensacola, Florida, that was the hospital that I was born in. She worked there too. So she's got literally all of her experience listed on here from 1989 when she first started out as a nurse. That looks phenomenal, that she's got all of this experience listed. But for her, you know, she's going to have 2 pages because she has so many positions. You know, she was a nurse at so many different, we moved around a lot too when I was younger. So, you know, she got different jobs at different hospitals as we moved. So she has a lot of great experience, worked at Stanford University. And then down here, she's got her strengths. So she did a lot with postpartum, antepartum, GYN, immunizations. She did triage for years. I swear, if I call my mom up and, you know, give her some symptoms, she can diagnose it like that. She's got a lot of great experience. She did oncology too. So worked with cancer patients. You name it, my mom's done it. But she's got it listed all on here. And so, you know, she has also 2 patient and family education, thorough, compassionate care, critical thinking, sound decision making, excellent communication skills. So again, and then she's got her little footer down here because it's a 2-page resume. She's got a lot to cover on here. So again, it's really up to your personal preferences, what you want to put and what you don't want to put. So don't get bogged down with the technicalities. You know, if I don't have this, you know, they're not going to accept me. Have all the information. Tell them what you know, tell them all about you and everything that you want them to know. Include that in your resume, but don't get bogged down and stressed out about the technicalities. So some resources, Hire a Niner actually has a resume approval tool. LinkedIn has a resume builder tool, and LinkedIn Learning, they got a bunch of videos on there. Also YouTube and TikTok. I'm not ashamed to say that TikTok has given me some of the best resources and the best information about recruiting and resumes and things like that. But also YouTube, you know, you can literally find anything on the internet. You just have to really search for it. And then friends. I reached out to a lot of my friends who, you know, were in ABA, who were currently in the position that I wanted to, and I asked them to edit my resume for me. That is fantastic. If you've got people that you know who are in those current positions that you are trying to obtain, definitely reach out to them, ask for any help. Even if you don't have any people, you know, who will help you, reach out to people on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is such an awesome platform, and there's so many resources available on there. So that's really all I got for you guys. So I want to open up the floor to any questions that you might have. If you have any specific questions about, you know, your resume, anything like that, I'd love to hear from you guys. Yeah, absolutely. I see a hand raised. And I can't see the chat. Hello. Hi, how are you?
Doing good. How are you?
Doing good.
Hi. So I was just going to ask how you felt about Linktree. So this is something that I actually have on my resume. So I have a QR code which connects to a Linktree because rather than making it 2 pages, there were just some sites that I wanted to include a direct link to. So rather than, for example, rather than having my LinkedIn on the page itself, the Linktree connects to the LinkedIn, and then I also have my Indeed profile, and then I have a portfolio of some research material. So do you think that's something that employers will actually take the time to look at, or do you think that it's something that's more just for your own benefit?
Honestly, if I got that on an application, I would love that. I love QR codes. I think they're very, very helpful. And if you've got all of that information linked on there, absolutely, I would definitely say to keep that on there. I think that's a great tool, especially if it's all, you know, combined in that one section on your linked tree. So I think that's totally fine. I think that's a great idea. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Stop sharing my screen too.
Addie, I have a question.
Yeah, what's up?
Well, I have 2. So I had stepped in a little bit late due to some connectivity issues, but it was only a matter of minutes. Are we able to get a point of contact from you so that way we can possibly send you our personal resumes?
Absolutely. I would totally love to help. Let me put the link to my LinkedIn in the chat. I also would love to get connected with you guys too. So shoot me a connection, whatever you'd like. I would love to get connected. And then let me send my link in the chat really quickly. Yeah, and then did you have another question?
Yeah, I did. So I had heard something interesting. So one of my friends had given me this advice. I wanted to hear if you had ran across this yet, and if you think this is a good idea. So when turning in a hard copy of your resume, he gave me two recommendations, and that was to take your resume and make it about 0.25 inches larger than the others, and then have it printed out in cardstock as opposed to regular paper format. And I was just curious if you ran across a resume like that, and if you had any thoughts on that advice.
So I have not run across a resume like that, but I think that's actually a great idea, because when I do career fairs and I get, a handful, a stack of resumes from people, I put them in my folder and things like that, but they definitely can get bent, and I think a cardstock would be a great idea. I think it would make it stand out too, because it's, probably the only one out of that stack that's that thick and won't get bent or anything like that. That's interesting. I've never heard of that before, but I think that's a fantastic idea. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, when he told me that, I had never heard of that before either. But he said apparently if you make the paper larger, it'll stick out of a stack, and then if it's thicker, obviously it does as well, and it's easier to read. And he said like
Yeah.
it actually goes like long ways in regards to like credibility and what people's first impressions are about you. And I just thought it was a very interesting remark that he had.
I mean, yeah, I would love to get a resume in cardstock, because one, it probably would look more professional too, and it would stick out from the stack. So that's a great idea. I love that. It's my first time of hearing it, but I love that idea. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for your questions. Any other questions? I see some
Oh.
hands raised.
Addie, Grayson had her hand up again.
Yes, Grayson.
Yes, thank you. So I was going to ask one more thing. So and knowing that like everyone here is a college student, obviously, and there's like a lot of chances to get involved with like clubs and things like that, I was wondering if you had any suggestions for including that on a resume and kind of marketing it, because I feel like it can be a bit awkward if you don't have like a leadership role and you are just like a member. Like, how are you supposed to utilize that to your advantage without just simply listing the meaning of the club? Because I feel like that can kind of get lost in translation rather than actually saying what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So any clubs or any, organizations that you are a part of, like I was in the academic honor society for my sorority. I was in the UNCC psych club. I believe I listed those. I've taken them off now. But I believe I listed them under activities or skills. You can put them under education as well. You can, if it was something very similar to, or something that's very important to that position that you're applying to, and that you did something in that position or that organization, like the secretary or, something like that, you had a position. I think it's totally okay to elaborate on that, maybe add a bullet point or two. And again, there's a lot of flexibility with that kind of activities, skills, clubs, organizations, kind of section that you can kind of make your own. So if it's pertaining to, whatever position you're applying to, I would definitely include it. And then you can kind of tweak it. You can add it really wherever you want under your education, or in that kind of second little skills, activities, organization sections. I put all my volunteer work down there too. So yeah, I would definitely include it. And then you can kind of play around with it, see what looks best, what looks the most professional. But I think it's totally fine to add that there. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Addie, I think Ashley had her hand up earlier. Ashley, did you want to ask a question?
Yeah, but it's not about the presentation. I saw on your LinkedIn that you had Ryan Reynolds as your top voice. Could you tell me about that?
Ryan Reynolds as my top voice. I didn't know he was, I follow him on LinkedIn. I don't know him personally, so sorry to to break any hearts. No, I remember actually he popped up on my LinkedIn in feed, and I was like, that is so weird that he's on LinkedIn. Like, why does he need a LinkedIn? So I just clicked him on there and I said follow, which he accepted me. So that's kind of cool. But no, I'm sad I don't know him personally. But yeah, I guess I'm connected with Ryan Reynolds on, on LinkedIn.
Oh, that's so cool.
He's
That's
a
Yeah.
Satan scholar.
Yeah. So you guys send him a friend request too, and he'll probably accept you. But I've seen him on there a couple of times. I was like, I'm just gonna add him, see what happens. And now we're connected. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, absolutely. I see your comment in the chat. Thanks for coming. Any other questions today? Feel free to, if you've got any questions that pop up later after we log off of here, you're more than welcome to shoot me a message on LinkedIn with any questions that you have. I'd be more than happy to help. I'm one of those people who I can't think of questions in the moment, but then, as soon as I log off or as soon as I leave, I'm like, oh, I know what I was going to ask. So no pressure. If you don't have any questions now, you can totally shoot me an email and I would be more than happy to help.
All right. Thank you, Addie.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks so much for coming. Awesome. I'm glad I was able to help.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thank you everyone for coming today. Thank you,
Thank
Addie.
you. My pleasure. Thanks, y'all.
And Addie, I was able to take multiple screenshots while you were presenting, so I will send that over to you so you can have that. But
Thank you.
yeah, we really appreciate you. Oh, no, I thought I saw a hand, but it was just my little mouse. But yeah, we will upload this recording on YouTube, so if you you can have access to that too. But
Yes.
thank you so much for doing this, and we really appreciate it. And we'll definitely be in touch because you're amazing. We definitely would love to have you back for more.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure. I had such an awesome time. So thank you for the opportunity. Yes, thank you for taking those screenshots too. I would love those. And then yeah, whenever you upload it to YouTube, I would love to see that too. So thank you guys so much. I had an awesome time and look forward to, the future as well.
Okay, great. Thank you, Addie.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye, y'all.